Welcome to Empowering Xchanges, Tuesday Toast to Transformation.
Hey, Empower X community, Serena,
And Sarah here.
your host on this exciting journey of conversations for and by women. Join us on Tuesdays as we uncork the wisdom, share the challenges, and celebrate the victories that make us who we are.
From navigating career highs
to embracing the quirks of life,
we're here for it all. Let's raise a toast to transformation, sisterhood, and building a brighter future together. Pour your favorite beverage, tune in, and let's dive into the heart-to-heart talks that empower us all.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Oh, yeah. It's time to kick back, relax, chillax, and chillax.
Cheers!
Cheers! Chillax and colada. Those are actually words we're saying. Chillax and colada.
Yes, they are. And they're the name of the cocktail, too.
Oh, it's going to be a good one.
This is. It's all about conserving our energy.
That's why we're lean back.
Yep. This is what we need today, so we are doing it.
Oh, it's going to be good.
Yeah. What helps us keep our energy?
Yes.
What gives us energy? And what drains it?
Yeah. Look out for the draining.
A lot of things.
We don't want that. We're trying to keep us attuned to what gives us energy so we can get rid of what takes the energy.
Yep. If we know, that's a good starting point. If we know what gives us energy and what energizes us, that helps us also understand what drains us and maybe why too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well.
Yeah.
On that note. Shall we start with what drains us?
Sure. Yeah, let's start at the...
let's start with the negative. We're going to work to the positive.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Yeah. Quick little sip.
I don't think I'm letting this one sit down.
We're just gonna keep holding it the whole time?
Yep.
Yeah. We have some of those every once in a while.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So draining our energy.
Yeah.
We were talking... every time we come up with ideas, a lot of it is because of the things that we are texting each other and talking about. And then we're like, good one.
Yep.
Let's have a longer and deeper conversation on that.
Absolutely. Yes.
And we were talking about the relationships sometimes in our lives that we had this long podcast about friendship and how important it is. And yes, it obviously is. But sometimes there are friendships that
are draining.
That don't give us the energy that we need back, whether they're toxic friends, whether they're friends who just don't put as much into it as we do.
Right. Non-reciprocal friends.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a thing, but and then
I think so.
It fits.
Yeah.
So I think that's also what we can gain from friendships if it isn't reciprocal. Can also drain us too.
Yeah. There are a lot of friendships, and just like any relationship, right? There are going to be points where one person gives way more than the other person.
Yes.
And that's just part of a relationship. But if you are the one who is always giving and never receiving, we all have those friends, right? The friends who only talk about themselves.
Yes.
Who you always give gifts, you're always planning, you're always doing this stuff, and you get nothing in return.
Yes.
Maybe it's still worth it if you get a lot of energy when you're actually hanging out with them. But sometimes it's just
a lot of effort with no return.
Yeah. And it's hard enough to build friendships, to put in that amount of time that doesn't give us fun.
So you know what my word for the year is?
What?
Abundance.
Yes. Oh yeah, we did talk. You did talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if I'm thinking about this from that aspect, I'm trying to release the things that are draining, that are sucking the life, that are not creating abundance.
That are succubuses.
Yes. And I'm trying to lean more into the things that are creating abundance and are filling me with joy and are just the energy that I want and need for myself. And I think to that point where there's some aspects, whether you feel whether that friend or that person has helped you out in the past and you feel a debt of gratitude towards them. Or if it's something where like you really do enjoy the time together when you're together, but it's really hard making the outside time work. Or if it's something where you just feel, I think families are a good example of this, where you feel an obligation to have a friendship or have a relationship with people. I think that's sometimes what can be the most draining is the expectations we put on ourselves of what those relationships mean or should mean to us.
Yeah. And we've grown up in an environment where no matter what family does, or sometimes friends do, you stick with them.
Yeah.
Like that is what you do, especially long-term friends. But I think sometimes there are seasons.
Yes.
In our
100%
in our life. And there are some that stay for the entire season. And sometimes there are people that show up in our lives just for that time, just when we need them. And that may be it. And letting go of that, letting go of the guilt too.
Yeah, I think that you make a very good point. You don't need to feel obligated or feel that it's necessary for every person that you meet or see or create a friendship or relationship with, that they're going to be in your life forever. I think that there are absolutely reasons why we attract certain relationships at certain points in our lives. And what got you there isn't always what's going to get you further. And so being willing to release some of those things, not release the memories and release the positive emotions that go with it, or even sometimes the negative emotions, because lessons learned. But sometimes you have to be willing to let those things go so that you can grow.
And speaking of growth, I think that's, conserving our energy, that kind of goes with both. I think as we age, sometimes we are more able to say no.
Yes.
I saw this post, and I think I sent it to you. Of course, I probably sent everything that I think is funny to you now at this point. But it's I want fuck yes energy.
Yes.
I think that's our third swear in all of our series. Maybe fourth. I don't know, probably a lot more than that. But if it is not giving me that energy, then why have it in your life?
Right.
There are times that I've had relationships in my life where people have really, really hurt me, said really, really horrible things. And I think that was one of the points in my life that I started growing up. And I said, I do not need, to that person, I said, I do not need somebody in my life that will make me feel that horrible. And if that is going to be you, I don't want you in my life.
And it's not even just relationships as far as people go. It's relationships with your environment, with your workplace, with your insert noun here. It is, if you are not feeling yourself, and I think it took me a long time to realize that I wasn't my best self in a previous position until I wasn't in it. And the relief that it brought and the recovery of who I am and who I want to be and who I strive to be was incredibly just like, I don't know, it was like a rebirth. Yeah. And not realizing that much had been sucked out of me for multiple years. And drained from me is insane to me, that you don't pick up on those things sometimes.
And that goes to like how we have felt in those roles too. We both talked about this, about leaving certain roles that were really, really bad for us. And it's not necessarily always the company. Sometimes it's how we react to it and all that other kind of stuff too. But I think the amount of impact it has on your health.
Oh yeah.
And once you realize that, and you realize leaving, what you can do and how much better you feel, the energy that you get back.
Yes.
You don't feel the Sunday scaries. every single day sometimes. You don't get that like sick feeling. I mean, I had that where I was just physically ill physically ill from some of the stresses I had, and leaving it, how much better you get. And I think that's probably why there's this abundance that you're talking about this year, and the fuck yes energy.
Yeah, 100%.
Because once you have dealt with some of those things and you've gotten them out of your life and you've decided to conserve your energy yourself, you don't want to go back.
Yeah. Where energy goes, success grows. And that doesn't mean like success in your professional career or what have you. Success means just becoming who you want, having an environment of what you want, having health and physical abilities that you want. It really is amazing that when you release that bad energy and create more positive energy, how much faster you can get where you're trying to go.
Yeah. I know we've talked about this, but I've always been somebody who works out a lot, and everybody knows that kind of about me. But when I was in very stressful situations that were draining my energy, that's one of the first things I give up. And it makes me personally happier, a better person.
Right.
Like I just am. That is just who I am. And when you give that one thing up that makes you really happy and a better person, you are constantly drained.
Yes.
And then releasing that, like, my goal last year was to deadlift 200 pounds. And I could not get to that until I released, this horrible situation. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow,
look at that.
Look at that. Look at that. I like doing the things that I know I like to do again.
Now my furniture's all over the place because I'm just lifting
lifting it and carrying it around. Lifting my husband, throwing it over my back. All this
100%.
I know, but it's again, finding the things that don't make you happy and finding the things that do.
Yes. And when you're not happy, it's really hard sometimes to want to do the things that make you happy.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's the definition of burnout for me is
depression.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a very creative person and like to dabble in lots of different things: jewelry making, reading, writing, whatever, design work, interior design, all the things that I can use my creative side. And when I am in that burnout situation and I'm already drained, doing anything that makes me feel happy or makes me feel myself seems exhausting.
Because it's another effort that you have to do. It's something more. I've felt the exact same way. Burnout. I've had episodes of depression that I've had to fight through. And the same thing where you're like, I know this will make me feel better.
I just don't want to.
I can't get off the couch. Yeah. I just can't. I don't have the energy for it. I don't have anything that will allow me to spend that, because I've spent it all at work. Because the little amount that I have
given to others.
I've given to others.
And I think that is something, again, going back to this idea of relationships that drain you. We have to be cognizant of, I know this is like so cliche at this point, but filling our cups before we pour into others. And really trying to take care of ourselves, take care of our well-being, because without it, we're not going to be strong enough to fight off all the other things that we need to, and we're not going to be strong enough to give to others.
Yeah,
it's not to say we won't, because I think that's what we do to others. But I think that's one of the interesting things that has, maybe one of the more positive things that has come out of COVID, has been the idea around putting your well-being ahead of others and ahead of other things. I can't say that all of us have mastered it.
No.
And I think sometimes it's having conversations like this that we need to have to remind ourselves, I'm slipping again. I need to come back to this.
Yeah.
But I think that's a really important area of, we're not going to be able to create the success in the different areas of our lives if we're not taking care of those different areas of our lives and making sure that we're healthy in those different areas of our lives.
There's this lady I just recently met, and she said, I'm learning to care for myself. And I'm like, that's really powerful, because I think we talk about self-care so often, and we think that's a spa day. And yes, I just did that with some friends, but that is one day. That is one day that I felt great.
And it's one aspect of your well-being.
It is. It was very relaxing. It was really great. But what happens the next day?
Right.
What happens after that? What are the things that I'm going to implement in my life that will change the way that I'm feeling? And I think that that's also something we have to think about. Is like, it doesn't mean that self-care isn't about doing, spa day, getting your nails done, whatever makes you happy, but it's also making changes for the better too.
Yeah.
Like the whole topic to conserve your energy.
Right. And a big piece of that, and we talked about this in a previous episode, is setting boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one can create those boundaries or enforce them other than us.
Yep.
And we have to know what is a priority to us and when our priorities are going down the list and they need to be moved up.
Yeah. And sometimes it's as simple as that. How do you set boundaries? First, you have to think about what's important to you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you really care about? What do you really want to do? And then you have to set these boundaries of what doesn't fit into that.
Right.
And what am I going to say no to?
Yep.
It may be a motto like abundance. It may be a motto like I only want fuck yes energy.
Yeah.
Like it may be whatever it is to help you understand that, and then you can balance things against that.
Yeah.
Does this fit in my priorities? Does this fit into what I'm trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
And saying no. You said this in another episode. Saying no. Period.
Yep. Done.
Don't need an explanation.
Nope.
No thanks. Nope. Not doing it.
Nope. I think there's a couple of other tools. So prioritizing things is one. I think journaling could be super helpful in that, and really reflecting on day to day what's working, what's not working, what you need to drop, what you need to add.
Mm-hmm.
I think that creating a vision board is also another easy tool. All these things are free too.
Yeah.
Really thinking about what you want each area of your well-being to look like, and having that front and center in a space that you're in on a day-to-day basis, so you can remind yourself, I didn't quite hit that goal today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or I did in this area. And you should celebrate that too when you are. So,
I mean, we have a workbook about this too.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
And I think I love that workbook because it is all of these steps that you kind of need to do.
Mm-hmm.
You need to create these priorities. You need to understand yourself. You need to set your goals. And just like we talked about in the last episode, the kind of like the atomic habits kind of thing. Yes, you can set these goals, but sometimes they're daunting.
Yes.
Like I want to do this big thing.
Yeah.
But the steps to get there, and how do you stay on track? How do you reward yourself? Right. How do you do these things? How do you make small micro changes to get there?
And I think that's the key too, because a lot of times when we think about like New Year's resolutions and things of that nature, or dry January, or whatever it may be, a lot of these things we try and do cold turkey.
Yep.
We're just like, oh, I've been doing this so, on a regular basis up until now, and I'm going to change it. That works for some people.
Yep.
But most people, if you cut something off like that, you're going to end up feeling more deprived of it and fall off the bag.
And then you're going to binge or on whatever the thing is that you're trying to give up.
Exactly. So it's these, as you said, micro steps to getting to building that muscle memory, to building that intentional life that you want and want to create. And it's as small as writing something down.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And we think, again, to this like going cold turkey, we think that we set a goal and we need to like meet it tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. Unrealistic goals? What?
Yeah, I know. But it is about figuring out how to get there, I think, sometimes. And that also helps you actually get to your goal. If you think through, this is what I want to accomplish. What are the little steps that I need to make day in and day out, and not do too much too. Like you're talking about,
don't take on the world.
No, I know. I mean, that's also something that you're going to burn yourself out too. If you set 5 New Year's resolutions and you have to change all of these things about yourself, it's like, good luck. Try that. How about you try one first, and then maybe once you get there, you try another, and then move on from that. And just think about like how much pressure you're putting on yourself and how much energy you're burning from thinking about how to do these things, and how much guilt you'll get if you don't do it too.
It's an interesting aspect too when you think about how much pressure we put on ourselves to succeed at something. What's the flip side of that? Failure. Yes, it is. However, if you have the right open mindset and growth mindset, every failure is a lesson learned. So even when you're discovering, like, the age-old question when you were growing up, who do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
I don't know. I still don't know if I'm
not grown up yet. I don't have to do
but I can tell you what I don't want.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you what I don't want to be, or who I don't want to be. Finding things that you succeed at is fantastic, but finding things that you know are not for you is just as valuable, I think.
Yeah, because those are also the things you can say no to.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this in another episode about how I have frankly learned more about being a manager from the things I've had bad managers and the things 100%. They have done. And sometimes you're absolutely right about, you learn so much more about yourself from the things that you don't want to do. And I think sometimes that can help you push yourself to the right path too. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. This drains my energy. It's almost easier to do that than thinking about the things that you do want to do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you think of it as like, I'm trying to think of a good analogy to kind of wrap around it, but it's almost like you've got this giant, I don't know, cavernous type area, and for some reason the things that you find out you don't want end up closing down that wall or adding more barriers to it. But what it ends up doing is pushing you in a direction that is more meant for you.
Yeah.
So how do we, I think when we're talking about our energy and thinking about things that light us up and that bring us joy, it can be things that don't light us up and don't bring us joy. And knowing those things don't bring us light, don't bring us joy, and saying no to them, to your point, is going to push us in a direction that is more positive.
Yeah. And I think a lot of those things too are things we think I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. Right? Those expectations from others.
Yeah, from others, from yourself, from society, like whatever it may be, is I am supposed to like this, or I'm supposed to do these things.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe not. You know, maybe these things aren't going to fill you up, or you can find somebody else to help you with that. What is it that actually, be honest with yourself?
Right.
And I think that's hard sometimes for women, because we, and sometimes probably men too, but we think this is the expectation that I have had maybe on my life, and my family has had, that society has had, and to shut that down and to listen to yourself. Is probably hard.
I think for me, one of those things is cooking. I love to eat. I love food. I love tasting new things, but cooking just sounds like a daunting task to me. But societal pressures, growing up in a single, or not a single family home, but a stay-at-home environment where my mom cooked us all the meals and everything, I felt like that was something I had to do.
Yeah.
I don't do it. If I could wish on a wish list of something that was done for me, I would have a personal chef.
Yeah.
Come in and make my meals for me. One, they'd probably be healthier. And two, I wouldn't have to think about it. I could just have my meal when I'm ready, and that's one thing off my list I don't have to worry about. I don't have to make a decision about it.
Yep.
I can have that mental space cleared and also still find other things to fill it with that make me happy.
I know we talked about how words matter, and I think we had this other little clip from Instagram about the difference between saying I can't and I don't. And I think when we say I can't do something, then there's the interpretation of, well, why not?
Right.
Or what do we need to change so you actually
what do you need to learn, or what do you need to get better at? Yeah.
From creating new habits to just saying no at work or whatever, but to say I don't is really powerful. I don't take meetings, and I don't take notes for everybody else in meetings.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I saw that and I was like, this is so simple and yet so powerful.
It is.
I don't waste my time on things that don't bring me joy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
cook.
I don't cook. I just don't. It's not that I can't.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah.
And the ability to say that is so much more meaningful and so much more impactful. I think it also removes the guilt and removes the questioning or judgment.
The pressure back. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't do that.
So if you can do one thing, change your sentences to I don't.
I don't instead of I can't.
Yeah.
Or I won't.
Yeah. Exactly. I think that was one simple way that I think we can change our lives quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think on the positive energy side, one of the things that I have changed in wording to myself, a lot of times when you set goals, you're like, I will try.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of saying I will try, it's I will.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
I will do.
I will do.
Yeah.
And like also thinking about what it looks like to hit those goals. What happens if?
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's like that getting started and like doing the things that we're trying to accomplish, and we don't have energy because it seems so hard. It's like, what if?
Mm-hmm.
What if I did this? What if I became this person?
Not the negative what if.
No, not the negative. The positive.
But the positive. Yeah.
Yeah. And also,
what doors would this open?
What doors would this open? What would it look like if I did these actions? How could it change my life? And maybe even also, how bad is it really if you don't?
Yeah.
Like, okay, if I miss
cost of inaction.
The cost of inaction.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And on the flip side, I know we talked about like me working out a lot, but I think getting into that habit has been something where in different points of my life,
right,
you almost get like addicted to the high too. not that, but then I'm like, what if I take one day off? I feel so good when I do this and so guilty when I don't. And then it's like, it's one day.
Right. Yes.
It's one day. I will not stop because it's one day. And that's something like I think, get in our heads about this all or nothing kind of thing, the cold turkey or the all or nothing. It doesn't always have to be that.
And then you fall off and then you have regret.
Yeah.
Or you have regret for not starting or what have you. I think there's a phrase of like, today's either like day one or of the future, or it's day one of staying where you are.
Yeah.
Like you have to choose which one do you want, forward movement or stagnant.
Yeah. I think sometimes if you don't do those actions, maybe you have to reevaluate what's important to you.
Yeah.
And what gives you energy.
Yep.
And do you have that passion to change it? And the why.
Right.
Like, why do I actually want to do this? Is it, again, because it's what's expected of me or what I'm supposed to do?
Right. Yeah, so I think when we're talking about re-energizing or protecting our energy, like, as we said, a spa day is helpful in certain instances, or just for your general, like, clearing of your mind or relaxing.
It's really nice.
But but there are so many things that you can do that don't cost anything and that can give you that same, the same results. I think to your point, I think it all comes down to focus and intentionality around these things. I know what I want and I know what I don't want. And once you can be clear on those things, then you can say no. Then you can say yes. Say yes to the things that are going to get you there. Say no to the things that won't.
Yeah.
And I think that really is what it all comes down to, us creating the boundaries and being willing to say no when things don't fit our needs.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. It just goes back to us having real conversations, especially with ourselves, about what our priorities are. What are the things that are really important in our lives, and how are we going to accomplish them? And again, not what I should.
Yes. Yeah.
But what do I actually care about? And that will help you conserve your energy a
100%.
lot.
All right.
I think
we've exhausted this.
Yeah. I don't feel guilty about it.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No. I will say it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I realize when I need to say no and when I need to just throw up the fence or whatever it is to really create the environment that I need.
Yeah. Yeah, and encourage each other.
Yeah, and I hope that people get there faster than we did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I hope it doesn't take you, almost 4 decades to figure out to know enough to guilty about it.
Exactly.
All right.
So here's guilt-free boundaries and
keeping and maintaining your energy.
That's right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Chillax.
Colada. That's a wrap on another episode of Empowering Exchanges. We hope you enjoyed this chat and would love to hear your suggestions for additional topics on challenges, triumphs, and the laughter that bonds us together.
Don't forget to hit subscribe, share the love, and join us on Tuesdays for another dose of wisdom, wit, and warmth. Keep shining, keep thriving, and keep toasting to the incredible journey of womanhood.
Until next time, cheers.
Cheers.